We need to have the folks on. Let's have you, Margie, can you announce yourself? And I think there's.
Yeah, I'm Margie Donovan, member at large.
Any others from MAC on the virtual?
Good afternoon, everyone. Done. I am representing Agency on Aging Area 4.
Thank
Good
you.
afternoon, Mariano Rosales, MAC member representing California Resource Services for Independent Living.
That's everyone.
Great, and we do have a quorum, so we can proceed. And now we'll do staff and
Priscilla Vargas, ADA compliance officer and staff liaison to the MAC.
Richard Mitchell, Director, Community and Contract Plus Services.
Carmen Alba, VP of Operations.
Blanca Salcedo, Best Operations Director. Jamie Canterbury, Director of Customer Satisfaction.
Wonder Woman Mangistu, Grants and Capital Programming Director.
James Drake, Senior Manager of Service.
Kathy Sajan, Paratransit Operations Manager. Sean Reynolds, SAC Artigo Program Analyst.
Austin Griner, Accessible Services.
Then we'll have members. Yes, I'm sorry, online we have Vince Speedy, he's the Director of Transportation. I think we can't. All right, so on our webinar, we have Vince Speedy, he's the Director of Light Rail Operations. Welcome, Vince. I think that. All right, let's just go through and announce. Yes.
Jeff Tardikia, SAC Track Advocate.
Derek.
Rowan Grant, Student Management.
Do we have any guests online? Okay. All right, so our first item will be approval for the December 7th minute. And so for that,
Margie motions to approve.
Okay, we have a motion from Margie. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Pam. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
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 All opposed? Abstentions? All right, they're approved. Okay, we now go to public comment on items not on the agenda. So. Okay, we'll take the in-person first, and that we'll start with Jeff.
First comment going to be I just used Zoom with the code 86050780580, and it still says on Zoom that one of the connect to this webinar. I hope someone to you with public comment and see somebody in the public, secrets first or whatever, can get in here for these meetings. The second thing that again I'm not on the agenda is Dos Rios. I'm hoping
that's part of the work plan, so that item you would not, that comment would not be in order. That would be a work plan related comment.
That you're aware that Dos Rios people over there.
That's out of order because it's an item that is part of the agenda.
So in the agenda work plan is Dos Rios.
You can make that comment as part of our work plan discussion.
then it's not in the work plan as for the last.
You're out of order,
Okay,
and you're free to make that comment later on. Okay, so with respect to the Zoom issue, you somehow did not get, I guess, or something happened that you did not have, we're not using the webinar Zoom link, and so hopefully next time that will not occur, and you will have the appropriate Zoom so that you can get in.
Margie.
Tell you why that happened, but it did. Yeah, Margie?
I want to comment on that because I too had a problem. I used both of the links that Austin sent out, and it wasn't set up as just hit and it'll get you through. I had to put in the ID code, and there he put out 2 different ID codes. One, I think it was yesterday or this morning, and one with the Mac packet, and neither of them worked. Priscilla sent me the full link with the ID code in it, which is obviously preferable. And that one did work, but it was a different code than what Austin had sent out. And Austin sent out 2 different codes. So there is an ongoing problem with the link for the webinar.
Yeah, that we'll have to straighten that out by the next meeting, because obviously, it's causing people problems, and there's an easy fix to that. That is just making sure that we're sending out the right information and the complete.
Thank you. And thank you, Priscilla.
And thank you to Jeff too.
Yes.
Okay, so any other public comment? Anyone online with public comment? I don't think we have anybody, but there may have been somebody who's come in, so. Okay, so chair's report. I don't have anything today. I'm going to turn it over to Priscilla for some announcements.
Well, the first one I wanted to share with everyone is acknowledge.
Priscilla, can you get closer to the mic?
Sure. The first
Thank
item I
you.
wanted to mention is acknowledging Carmen Aldo, who's been promoted to VP of Operations. Hey, she actually is going to be providing leadership to both bus and light rail, and she has been serving as acting VP of Light Rail Operations along with VP of Bus since August 2023. So she had quite a load, but she did a great job. And so I just wanted to acknowledge her. She is, she's just a superstar. So with that, wanted to let everybody know on the Mac that she's watching out for all of us. I mean, both bus and light rail now. The other thing I wanted to mention, I was going to say it under announcements, but I shared with Jeff the information, so we thought just put it under his item. And what it is a good news item. University and 65th Street, the bus stop that was temporarily relocated. The actual bus stop, the location will be moving back to the permanent location at University and 65th on January 21st, 2024. So that is on Sunday. So I know Jeff Carnegie has shaken his head. He's happy to hear that news. Hopefully everybody else is as well. And those are the items I wanted to share.
Okay, thank you. And of course, our congratulations to Carmen. Okay, old business. Now we are going to flip the 2 items. And so we're going to have Richard on hold, so to speak, although he's in room. And we're going to start with the work plan. And what I thought we would do on the work plan is to read the accomplishments and each part at a time, have it read so those can hear it and those can see it and all that. And then we can take comments on that. We are not going to be voting on the final plan today. We want to get your comments and then have a final vote in February. This is not unusual. It has happened before, as I'm sure Pam will attest, that we've adopted the final plan in February. And we want to make sure we get everybody's input on this. And so we'll go one goal at a time. And if you have comments, we'll take the comments. as we go for each goal, and we can incorporate them, into the, final draft that we vote on next month. Okay, I don't know, Priscilla, you want to do the reading? Okay, all right.
Okay, so, as, the MAC members know, there's 4 parts to the work plan, and I'm gonna just start with, as Stephanie said, with the accomplishments. With part 1, which is service planning and certification, and then we'll go from there. So the 2023 accomplishments for service planning and service changes are that MAC received updates and provided feedback on proposed service changes, Sacramento Chief Street Facility, Sacramento customer service department, and then MAC received a presentation on the state project blueprint from the executive director of state. And then you want to do the vote? Or is that-
Yeah, I don't think we can.
Okay, so now I'll read the 2024 goal. Go ahead, Pam.
I just want to point out something for people who might be new. This goes to the board, and it's a way for them to know what we do and what we do, and it's our chance to make an impression.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you, yeah.
Simple items that we overlook, right?
Right, right.
Okay. 2024 goals for part 1, MAC will receive updates and provide feedback on proposed service changes, Sacramento customer service department, service animal issues, SACOG blueprint, and then under number 2, for the goal, advise on Sacramento paratransit and supplemental services improvements, including but not limited to operator training, boarding time, service animals, perfume and chemical sensitivity, passenger assistance, and Sacramento app and payment method.
Okay, so we're gonna open this for comment. I'm gonna make one comment and see if anybody agrees with me. I don't understand why goal 2 is not, I think it's a great goal, the way it's written, actually. But I don't see why it isn't down under part 2. It could, if we move it there, actually replace a little bit of language in part 2, but it seems to me it goes in part 2. Does anyone agree, disagree, not care?
Can you review goal 2 again, please?
The margin impact.
Yeah, should we read, well, goal 2, margin, we can read the whole thing, but the second, I'm sorry, part 2, I should say. That's where I would like to put it in part 2, because part 2 is all about Sacramento. And so I would,
Gotcha.
yeah.
I would
Pam?
agree with that.
Okay, Pam?
I personally like it where it is because we're not just dealing with advising the insurance transit, and this kind of gives a more broad view of what we need to do.
Okay. Anyone else? I don't have a big. At this point, members, and then we'll go to members of. I'm not really, I don't care too much about that, so. Opposed with that. Okay, hearing, no one else from the MAC, are there any members of the public, on part 1? Okay, yeah.
It's okay. Jeff, I think it needs to be here as well. As you may like, it is nice to be down on the other side, but I believe there's been better training going on for bus operators because of this and the degree of accountability. If you're running these, say, secret program, what is the criteria that which they're going against? If this is something we have a measurable means of when they're on buses and on light rail, evaluate and assess in your legal service. But it may not be service planning or changes, but the bus service and light rail service needs to have the same degree as your air transit. That's my comment.
Okay. All right, then we'll just, not really a whole outpouring, for that like change, and there's some people who are completely against it. Let's just leave it where it is. Okay, let's go on to part two.
Okay. Part two, ADA paratransit plan update and ADA paratransit services. I mean, I know we have a note considering moving part two to FRT transportation services. I know we haven't done that, but that's incorrect. 2023 accomplishments. Number one, Mac received an overview presentation on SACRT Go dispatch. Number two, Mac received updates and provided feedback on a number of items. A, bus stop improvement plan. B, funding for Smart Ride. SACRT Smart Ride. C, a report for Title VI funding. D, local transportation funding efforts and Measure A, magnetic signage for user. F, the accessibility of the SACRT ADA paratransit services application renewal form. G, SACRT Go paratransit services operation, including supplemental services provided by user. And H, SACRT Go app. Those are the 2023 accomplishments, and I will now start with the 2024 goals in this part two. One is to receive updates and provide feedback as necessary on accessibility of the SACRT ADA paratransit services application and renewal form. B is quarterly SACRT Go paratransit services operations updates with an emphasis on 1, on-time performance, 2, customer service, 3, driver training. And that's the goal for that part two.
Okay, comments from Mac members.
Margie.
Under, accomplishments, number 2, part A, B, and C, it looks like this is what Jeff was referring to, specializing for transit issues. And I don't see the bus stop improvement funding for Smart Ride and the Title VI. Funding is specific to paratransit. Would that go somewhere else? What about?
I think one of the things that we mentioned is potentially, I think anyone would suggest is to possibly rename the part two.
Oh, that's why it said.
Yeah.
Where it would make
Oh,
more
in that case, it would cover it.
margin. Margin.
Oh, I didn't realize I was called on. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I don't know if this would fit there because I'm not sure how widely Zip Pass is used. But we need to address Zip Pass, and I plan to bring it up a little later in the meeting. Would that go in here or would that go above?
Zip Pass is addressed, Margie, under part 3, but I haven't
Thank
read.
you.
Well,
That's just my brain.
that's all right. There is, there is some duplication and crossover in this work plan, but it's, as long as we get it, something somewhere, I suppose, that's what we have to have, so. All right, any other comments, by, MAC members? Okay, comments from members of the public on goal 2 or part 2, should.
any comments? No.
All right, well, on to part 3.
All right. So part 3 is service operation, accessibility, and quality. The 2023 accomplishments, and there's quite a few. MAC received updates and provided feedback on SACRT Go paratransit service operations, on electronic fare systems, including Zip Pass and Tap to Ride, real-time bus arrival app, SACRT rebranding survey results, the Morrison Creek Station modification, including the location of the crosswalks within the station property, relocation of RT headquarters staff from 1429th Street to 1102 Chief Street, customer service facility improvements at 13th and R Street, SACRT and Sacramento County emergency response planning efforts for local natural disasters, maintenance / operation of the NIED light rail station elevator, west and east side, Sacramento Go supplemental services magnetic signage for vehicles by use of drivers, which included a discussion on graphics on a detail that replaced the magnetic sign. Stockton Boulevard implementation plan, Rail Yard Station plan, and downtown riverfront streetcar light rail project. Foremost through these accomplishments, Sacramento Mystery Rider Program RFP. The 3-year contract reissue will first be limited to fixed route buses and light rail service. One MAC member was selected to be on the proposal evaluation committee. That was Margie. Sacramento vehicle procurement. Bus stop improvement plan. An outcome of the plan survey is the identification of 60 corridors and 600 bus stops needing to be improved for passenger experience. Next steps are to look for funding to bring the plan to life. Next item is I-80 renovation project. Next item, modifications and testing of new low-floor vehicles. And the last item then is closer last item, reimagine I-80 Transit Center Master Plan Improvement Project and Sacramento/Cal ITP update. And then under number 2, accomplishments, visited Siemens ITS factory to evaluate the need for the Siemens S700 vehicle ramp meeting rail guard edges. MAC members felt there was no need for the rail guards, and we find this is part of Sacramento's application for seeking equivalent facilitation determination from the Federal Transit Administration. Those are the 2023 accomplishments for part 3. The 2024 goals are these now. Number 1, continue to receive updates and provide feedback on electronic fare systems, including ZipPass and Tap to Ride. B, a system-wide safety protocol. C, real-time bus approval app, arrival app, I'm sorry. D, Sacramento website accessibility improvement. And then parentheses, pages and online documents. E, accessibility of fixed route, light rail, Sacramento Go, Smart Ride, etc. Vehicle procurement. F, funding and implementation of the bus stop improvement plan. G, Mystery Rider program. And then select the contractor, etc. This has been done. H, modification and testing of new low floor vehicles. I is installation and operation of the new visual and audible public address system through PDF at each light rail station platform. J, implementation of the Reimagine I-80 Transit Center Master Plan. K, maintenance and operation of the and I-80 light rail station elevator west and east side. And L is design and construction of the downtown riverfront streetcar light rail project. So those are goals where NAC will receive updates to provide feedback. Item 2 is advise staff on any comprehensive documents that Sacramento develops for accessible format compliance. 3, feasibility of installing an elevated series of lights along the edge of each platform that would blink upon the approach, presence, and departure of a light rail train. 4, accessibility and safety of light rail grade crossings. 5, consider recommending Sacramento hire an independent consultant to form an ADA self-evaluation and transition plan as required in ADA CFR Part 35, non-discrimination on the basis of disability and state and local government services. And letter A associated there. Accessibility of the Sacramento Paratransit Services application and renewal form. I think I already read that one. So, sorry, number 6 under part 3 is consider recommending Sacramento procure a 3D printer for the production of tactile models, maps, design drawings, etc. And that's all in part 3. Those were the 2024 goals.
Okay, before we open it up, I have 2 comments and I'll make them separately so we consider one and then the second one. I don't know why we need J in the accomplishments, which talks about the use serve signage, because I think we cover it. And there may be a reference to it in the goals too, I can't remember. But we cover it in, part 2, and I don't see any need to. I believe we cover that sign in part 2. And if we do, then I don't think we need to do it again in part 3.
You're correct.
Is there anybody that would oppose removing J from the accomplishments in part 3? Okay. Anyone on the phone with a comment?
Margie.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say for the record, it's hard to hear. The mics are real fuzzy, so I'm doing my best, and I'm having a horrible brain day, so I'm really doing my best to hear things and comment. What was the last 2 items, Priscilla? One was the printer, I know that.
Yes, I can mention again, Margie. Sorry about the line. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Item 5 under the 2024 goals. Consider recommending Sacramento hire an independent consultant to perform an ADA self-evaluation and transition plan as required in ADA 28 CFR Part 35. And the item 6 is consider recommending Sacramento procure a 3D printer for the production of tactile models, maps, design drawings, etc.
So I want to talk about the ADA transition plan.
Okay, so Margie, before we get.
Yep.
I think, okay, let me get my other comment and we'll come back to you. Goal 2, can you read in part 3? Can you read that one?
Yes. Advise staff on any comprehensive developed for accessible format compliance.
So I think that better language would be consider development of proposal for provision of documents in accessible formats. And I'm open to comments from members first. The wording of that, it gets to the same thing, but I think it's a little more a little broader in the way it's worded.
Question?
Sure. Consider development of proposal on provision, comprehensive proposal on policy for the provision of documents in accessible formats.
I do have a comment on that.
Okay.
I don't prefer the word consider. It is a requirement under the ADA. It should be recommend. And that's my first comment on that. And documents. I'm not sure how documents are defined, but I think we have a real challenge throughout RT on accessibility to printed and videos, the printed materials and videos, etc. And I think, I don't know.
Would that be a better term instead of documents? I'm open to materials.
Well, documents and videos.
That's a. If we don't use printed, okay, I'm fine with documents and videos, materials and videos.
What about recommend?
Videos are materials, but I'm fine either way. Pam?
I agree with you, Margie, about the word consider, and I thought I was being a picky linguistics major, but to me, it seems a little passive and it doesn't really state what we were going to do, which is to examine explore, discuss. Yeah, could we get another one to consider?
Sure. Well, I'm open to whatever folks want. Develop or just recommend or whatever, it's fine with me, discuss, any of those.
Well,
I
recommend
think-
sounds like we've already decided.
Yeah, that's why I didn't have it,
So we're going to talk about it. Yeah, explore.
okay, how about, Marge, are you okay with explore?
Let's go back to the purpose of this, and I may be off point here, but,
Explore
it-
development of proposal.
so we're developing a proposal is what we're doing.
Yeah, because we can't tell RT, all we can do is recommend that they do it. So we're gonna propose something. So
We, the
this-
committee, will propose something. I got it.
Right.
How about develop a proposal?
Okay.
Or develop a document.
the proposal, though, really, is what it is.
Okay, I'm good with develop a proposal.
Okay.
But I still want to have the videos, audio. I would say,
This is what you would,
say that again, Jeff, you're backed off a little bit.
okay, materials and videos is what you would want it to cover.
Yes,
Right, okay.
yes, thank you.
Any other comments on this, goal 2, part 3? Any other comments from the public on this? Jeff, go ahead.
As I look at this as advice staff, could you go over what you want to replace? Should say goal number
Sure.
2 with.
Sure, our goal here, I'm not using the word inadvertently. What we would like to do is to develop a concrete proposal to deal with the issue. We don't just want to advise, we want to actually have a proposal for dealing with the provision of materials in accessible formats.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I'm a little confused with the comment that I got from Kathy Ford and from Regina Brink. I'm not sure if it's tying in here or if it were under public comment. Public comment. So we definitely, this Zoom webinar is creating a lot of problems. There's people that aren't able to get in. And I know Charles has been trying to get in too, and I haven't had the chance to try and get a hold of Charles. But Regina's comment in public. Is that on?
Sure.
Okay. Can you let them know I'm requesting for a vehicle to make public comment that will be entered into the records for this meeting? With mine are about 2 minutes long.
I didn't get all that, Priscilla.
I think she wants to try and get on so she can make public comment or somehow
Oh,
make,
yeah.
so if we can,
Okay, she can send in her public comment and she can email me right now. That would be fine. And then I'll check my email. Looks like this.
go ahead.
Ask Regina to use the telephone with the proper code. I tried it and I could basically get, but it's a terrible way, but that would give her public comment where she's at.
Well, why can't we send out the link that Priscilla sent me? That worked.
Yeah.
One way or the other. either email us something, hopefully, or we'll get her the link and she can get it. And for Charles too, obviously. I was wondering why Charles, because I knew he was gonna look in. Okay, so I think we have, let's wait until Priscilla is done doing that. Take a 3-minute break here.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah. I mean, we're ahead of schedule. Oh, and I will say, while we're working on this, one of our items today on service changes is going to be tabled. And as a special shout out, the person who is going to give it is such a friend of this entity, Mr. James Drake. He is actually here, even though he's not presenting. So he deserves a special shout out.
Right here.
That's because he loves me.
Jeff White, I think everybody's quiet, am I right?
Yeah, Jeff gave me a minute to send off the correct
Yeah.
link.
Yeah, Regina's concern is, I just talked to her, her concern is they were sent to a YouTube link and they cannot comment on that link. They can only hear what's going on.
Oh, that's
What? I mean, I'm not following how that could happen. But she should be getting that new link any moment now that I sent to her and Charles.
Perfect.
Thank you.
okay. So let's now go on. Any other comments first from MAC members on part 3? Are they on the phone, Margie? Or
Oh, I'm sorry. Say that again, Jeff.
this is comments on part 3 that we haven't done so far.
Yeah, the ADA transition plan.
Yeah, sorry. That's correct. Right.
What is the first word there?
Hold on, sorry.
Sure, yeah.
Bear with me. The
No problem.
first word, consider recommending SACRT hire an independent consultant.
I again have a problem
Reason
with,
for the word consider, just to explain it and then comment, of course, is that if we're going to recommend it, that has to be done in the map, by the map, via motion. So, that was the word, that was the reason for the use, consider. Go ahead.
now
Mark.
that the MAC is here, sorry, I want to see recommending, and I have a little bit more to say about that. I've done my due diligence. I have talked to FTA, the ADA hotline at DOJ, and I know all I need to know about this. And I want to recommend, and if you want to know more, I'll take the time to tell you more. And if not, that's okay.
So are you commenting on the work plan wording? All we can comment today is the work plan wording.
Yes. I'm
As opposed to
suggesting,
action.
I'm suggesting we drop the first word and leave it at recommend.
Okay, other comments?
I don't see any hands, but I see Pam's a little maybe perplexed. I think what Margie's suggesting,
Nothing new there.
yeah, Margie's suggesting that we remove consider and start the sentence with recommend SACRT hire.
Yeah, I just think it is, it's clear we need to do this, but I just think as a matter of semantics, since it is the work plan we're coming up with, we should, my view is that consider is a more appropriate term for when we're going to bring a motion forth and pass the motion.
Well,
Go ahead.
you have, am I correct that you have consider in there because it was coming to the MAC and the MAC needs to consider this? Is that correct?
Consider is the word I would use only because it needs to come to the MAC for a vote to do it. Not, so this work plan cannot recommend anything. This work plan can describe what actions we're going to, take a look at. And so it's really a matter of semantics. We all know what we're going to do.
I'm at a loss of why with
work
the MAC.
plan doesn't make the recommendation. The MAC makes it in its meeting. So I understand it's a matter of semantics, but I think it's important.
So when do we drop the word consider? Since the MAC is, I know we're not voting today, but since the MAC is considering the work plan today, when do we drop the word consider and just leave it at recommend?
You can, I just disagree. I mean, but if the majority vote to drop the word consider, we drop the word consider.
I'd like to make a motion that we begin this statement or recommend and drop the word consider.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, Charles, are you aware of the motion that Margie made?
I just heard it and
There's no second yet, so, but I want to make sure you know about it in case you want a second.
right, no, I do not want to second it.
All right, so at this point it dies of a second. So any other, Margie, do you have other comments on goal 3 before we go to the next person?
I do not believe I do at this time. Thank you.
Anyone else on part 3? And anybody virtually? And Charles, since you just got on, do you have any comments on parts 1 or 2 or 3?
Not at this point, Jeff. Thank you.
All right, Jeff, part 3.
Note through the accomplishments of this year, you obviously could not consider what went on 65th Street or went on with the gold line. But for 24, why is not Broadway being considered what's going to be going on there? The MAC needs to know about. And also the Dos Rios recommendation and discussion, because you have 40, I guess it's 400, of which 25 do not have the ability to drive. And currently their bus service stops at 5 o'clock and it's not on the weekend. It's being changed when planning over here. It gets it changed, but that is something that you have principally for mobile accessibility, that there's a community there and it's growing that can only get 7, 9 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon around any place. And there's not much in the way to get them to the green line a mile away from the current location. It's just a comment. Right now you have simply the 33 that provides this level of service.
Okay, so thank you for the comment. I'm glad you got it in. Are there members who feel that we should include in this goal, I don't know how it would be written exactly, but you know, this us updates on Dos Rios and Broadway projects or something like that. Does that sound like something we ought to put in, folks?
I make the motion that we put
Yeah.
that.
I second that.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Okay, great. If somebody has an idea as to how they want to word it, we might get it to Priscilla. But I think, thank you for your comments, Jeff, and I'm glad we got it in. Okay. Anyone else, any members of the public on part 3? And in fact, if any, I don't know, is Regina come on by any chance, or anyone else? Okay.
Regina? Hello, Regina?
She would have to raise her. Oh, there you go.
Raise hand button. Audio now unmuted. Hand now lowered.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted.
Okay,
Yes.
so well, hang on for 1 second, Regina. Let me just tell you what we're doing.
All active speaker video space.
We haven't done yet. We are now talking about, unless you can either talk about something that is not on the agenda, period, which SAC Artigo will be, but we haven't done it yet. Or you can talk about the work plan. We've been going through the goals of the work plan. So if you have something on those items, do it now. Otherwise, hang in there and we'll get like to the other items that we haven't yet covered, and there'll be time for your comments.
I think this can be covered, this part of my comments, and I have more, but this one could be handled through this plan process because
Okay.
the thing that I'm finding is that almost every ride that I have through UServe, the driver is not coming through to the door now. And because we have to file complaints each time, I think within the plan should be for systemic, for something that might be a prevalent problem or pervasive problem. I don't know what word we want to use there, but that a plan would be developed to streamline the complaint process. Because what happens is I have to tell the dispatch, or they have to call me that I'm not coming outside and determine that the driver hasn't come to the door. Then they have to call UServe and tell everybody that the driver needs to come to the door. And then the driver gets to the door. And then I have to write or call back and go through this big process. And it's me, it's everybody. And that's why I think it's not more reported. And to me, it's a job description issue. So like, you know, if a receptionist didn't answer a phone call, didn't pick up the phone line and just let it ring or something like that. I mean, it's an essential duty of the job, in my opinion. And so I think those should be handled a little differently than regular complaints. And if there was a way to at least discuss a process, that's my recommendation. Thanks.
So is it, are you recommending an exploration of SAC-RT Go complaint processes generally, or UServe complaint processes? I'm sorry, specifically.
I think I'm talking about UServe because it's such a different interface. It's not direct like it is with drivers that work for RT.
Okay. All right. Comments from MAC members on whether we should have a response to in the work plan. We're not talking about the specifics of what Regina has, you know, the specific validity of what she has said. That doesn't matter at this point.
Margie, can I ask for clarification?
Sure. As long as it's relating to what we're going to put in the work plan, if anything, absolutely.
Yeah, it is. I have a question of Regina. I mean, are, I think you're talking about the filing of a complaint. Is that, can you answer that, yes or no?
Yes, but only in specific situations, not in general, if that makes any sense.
Right. Specific to the drivers of YouServe coming to the door.
Yeah, or something of that nature that is more.
Right. So I think kind of, and tell me if this is right. What you're saying is when dispatch calls us and says a YouServe driver's out there, RT already knows there's a problem. We shouldn't have to write up a complaint. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So then that wouldn't be YouServe, that would be RT.
Right. But concerning your complaints or specific.
Correct. So something to the effect of develop I don't know, I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm not going to try to fine tune it. Develop a process within RT that when the dispatchers are aware that YouServe isn't, YouServe drivers are not going to the door, that is filed as a complaint, that the passenger shouldn't have to file a second one.
Is it, let me just ask a question, because I totally get what you want to accomplish, at least I think of it. But do we think that what's generally in the work plan about monitoring YouServe and all that would allow us to get here? Because if it does, and I'm not saying I know the answers to whether it does, but if it does, rather than coming up with some really specific item in the work plan, which always makes it hard, because you don't want to get too specific, then we can work on this anyway. But if it doesn't, then we clearly need to get something in there so that we can work on these issues. And I don't really think I know the answer to the question, but
I know Pam has her hand up, and then I wanted to make comments too on what I was going to consider that we had addressed.
why don't you go ahead and then we'll do some kind.
Yeah. Okay. Under part one, the goal under part one, which is service plan and service changes, we're specifically saying that MAC will receive updates, provide feedback on the customer service, Sacramento customer service department. And then under second goal, it specifically says that Sacramento paratransit and supplemental services will include school advice and providing updates and giving feedback on a number of characteristics for Sacramento, including passenger assistance. So it's very specific. It's kind of try to capture everything, like they advise on Sacramento paratransit supplemental services, improvements including but not limited to operator training, boarding time, service animals, curfew and chemical sensitivity, passenger assistance, and the Sacramento app and community methods. That's in part one under the goal. So there is mention of the customer service department as far as just giving updates, providing feedback, and also specifically about the bill transit operation and passengers.
Okay, Pam?
That's pretty much what I was going to say. The lady has a legitimate concern, but I agree with Jeff. In a work plan, you don't want to get too specific. That locks you into one area and things change during the year. It's always better to be under a broader category, and we can explore like
There's also mention of it in part two under the goal. As it relates to the paratransit service operations update and customer service growth and etc.
Any other member comments on this issue?
Austin, is Gene Lozano on? He's on. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Speech.
Yes,
we can.
Okay.
I don't know where you are in this discussion.
Question and answer. One. The options. Leave. Test. Information. Live streaming. Custom live streaming. Sign in
Well,
button.
we got a lot of jaws going on.
I'm sorry, Jeff, to come late. Are you talking about the work plan or where things are?
Yeah, we I guess we'll provide you a
Small
summary
actors.
of what we did to you and Charles.
Thanks.
Nothing
Demand.
sure. I don't think really. But this is pertaining to whether we need an additional specific element in the work plan about dealing with user complaints that relate to drivers not.
No, Jeff,
Okay, go ahead. I don't
I've
want
been
to
trying to.
characterize you.
My first proposal was something that was a pervasive problem such as that. And only in those situations, and to make more broad language to deal with only certain complaints that might arise in the future or exist now. So I wasn't wanting to be as specific as was being proposed. That's why I said some kind of pervasive problem, because it wouldn't be all complaints. And and maybe we don't even have to make it specific to you, Serve, but complaints that concern pervasive problems and that are essential job duties, like not deploying the lift properly in a bus or something like that. If that were happening all the time, there needs to be a different complaint process for that.
Right, okay, so you've heard what Regina has stated, so what we're trying to get at is whether we have the general authority to provide that type of feedback under the existing work plan elements, or whether we need an additional element put in. I don't want to try and restate what Regina said because I like the way she stated it. Do you have a comment on that, Gene?
No, hold off until after the discussion's finished.
Okay. Any other comments on that?
Comments virtually from MAC members?
Comments from the public on this specific comment?
Like just started doing an update in my.
Mr. Chair, this is Charles.
Oh, yeah, Charles, go ahead.
Yeah, on the screen, I can't see all of the goals under 2024. I see 1 and part of 2, and I don't know if what we're talking about is covered under part 2. Okay. I wonder if it would be appropriate to simply add a goal of reviewing the current methods of filing complaints. And that would give us latitude to look at everything and not, and I think it might cover what Regina is talking about.
Is there any opposition to that? That's very broad, but it certainly allows us to do whatever we think best.
But it's general Sacramento customer service department for feedback. So we can provide feedback as a MAC member to the Sacramento customer service department. Relates.
So we could put just something in part 1, I guess, in goal 1, or in part 1, yeah. It says review complaint filing procedures, and that would be it.
Yes, that's basically what I'm suggesting.
Any opposition to that on the map? Hearing none, we'll just go ahead and accept that. Okay, so Jean, do you have any comments on parts 1, 2, or 3? Since, you know, I gave Charles that he got in late too, and I'm gonna give you the same opportunity to provide us comments on parts 1 through 3.
Well, my focus is part 3, and I, yesterday, January 17th, sent a replacement for part 3 that was part of the document that was in the meeting packet. That was, the file name was January 11th. That was in the meeting pack that was issued on January 12th. I'm replacing R3 from that earlier document with the one that was sent to you yesterday. It reflects feedback from the special executive committee meeting. Things have been tightened up, reduction in wording, and Austin did a great job in eliminating some of the duplications, and there was concurred with them. There were 2 that I feel that were in the area of goals that should be put into, and I don't know whether it's part 1 or 2. One has to be the Mystery Writer program, and the other one had to do with, I think, the fair program, paying fairs. And when I was looking at the duplications, some of them where they could be argued to be physical as well as program, and I looked at, is it 50% more for one or the other, and that's where I made the decision it was probably program. So I'm telling all MAC members, look at what I put as part 3. It is more condensed, and the only difference is in goals 5 and 6. I took off the word consider and left recommend. 1 was recommend, and I'm paraphrasing, recommend that RT hire a consultant to perform an ADA self-evaluation and transition plan. And the other one was number 6, which recommend that RT procure a 3D printer and training services for staff if need be. The assumption is these are recommendations. There's nothing more than that. They don't bind RT to do anything. And for instance, the 3D printer, there may be one that exists already in RT, and that staff may have that training. And if that is true, and if Access Services can utilize that at times to make 3D models or architectural design drawings, then I would say then there's no need to have that. But I know that is to do with the 3D printer.
Okay, so Jean,
And these are all up for discussion, like any
Hang on.
other item.
to shortcut this on this issue, Margie was going to make a motion and you weren't here to second it. So if you want to make a motion to delete recommend from 5 and 6, and then Margie chooses to second it,
The word consider.
Yes.
All I want to do is
Consider,
eliminate
I'm
the word.
sorry, I'm sorry, I misstated it. If you want to make the motion to delete the word consider from 5 and 6, then Margie can, if she chooses, second it, and then we can vote on that motion.
Okay, I move that part 3, goals 5 and 6, that the word consider be deleted from the recommendation text.
Margie.
Yeah.
I would like to suggest, Jane, that we don't combine 5 and 6. We take them separately, and I will second it if you're willing to do that.
Okay,
See, they are separate.
Well,
they are separate.
She means vote on separate, is what she's trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll do 5 first. Any discussion? I've already made my discussion really pertains to the whole thing, and so I'm not gonna talk again. I'm gonna close the motion, but so is there any discussion on this would be to number 5?
Margie. Go ahead, Charlie.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Charles, and then Margie.
Okay, yeah, I'm basically against removing the word consider, and because recommend is an action that it's an action by the MAC that we're putting in the work plan. And the idea is, my idea anyway, is that we can take up the subject, that the work plan should say we should take up the subject, but whether we recommend or not is something to be debated and discussed in a MAC meeting. And if after that, the whole MAC decides that we will recommend it, then we'll recommend it. By consider recommending, then that allows that process to go ahead. It's not a, using the word or removing the word consider and just saying recommend, that's doing a MAC action. That's not something that should be in the work plan to recommend, to say that the MAC will recommend something. That is to be done in a separate meeting, regular MAC meeting where we consider the whole subject. So that
Jeff, as the maker of the motion.
Oh, hold on, Margie is next, and then Eugene.
Well, I heard what Charles said, and I guess maybe I'm a bit confused about the process. So I'm going to say my way of thinking and tell me if this is right. The MAC is gathered here today. We're discussing whether we want to consider recommending or whether we want to recommend. And this is the opportunity to make that decision. Is that correct?
I would say that is incorrect, because I would say, and then one can argue both ways, but I would say this is just the plan for the types of things we're going to work on during the year. So that would be my interpretation, and I think that's probably consistent with Charles' interpretation. That doesn't mean it's the only interpretation. Now, Gene, you want to be next.
Every item that is we have action items in this with other goals that are not even in part 3, that are advise, continue, so forth. And each of those are open for debate now. There is no reason that recommend, which is your own words, Jeff, in an email said, that's what we do when Priscilla was recommending the word advise. Thing is, we've talked about this in subcommittee. This is something that is by law that was supposed to have been done by 1995. All we're doing is recommending them to look at hiring a consultant. They don't have to take the recommendation, do anything. They can just continue taking no action at all. I don't know why we need to have another layer to slow down a process that is mandated by federal law that potentially could be troublesome for them if the federal funding sources were to find out there is not a full ADA self-evaluation report and an ADA transition report, which all make up the plan. That could be a problem for them. Well, if they have the plan, that if they get a complaint, it gives them protection that they're doing something, and that so it gives them protection from the complaint. I don't know why we have to debate something when we're not going to debate any of these other items. And we just had a debate about the wording to do with the user service and issues there, and we passed a motion and dealt with it. There is no difference. This is and we take off all the anything and just have clean action verbs. I'm sorry, it's perceived as a delay motion from dealing with what needs to be recommended.
And Margie.
The delay could be as short as 1 month. So,
We've had 30
anyone else
years
have
of delay.
Margie.
Okay,
I just want to add to what I've said since Jean expounded upon. And as I said earlier, for those that were not here, I've done my due diligence. I've talked to DOJ. I've talked to FTA regarding these work plan, ADA plans. There's 2 plans. And RT is currently in violation and has been since 1993. And if one was to file a complaint, RT runs losing federal dollars. Now, that being said,
comment, Margie,
hang on, let me.
I want to make a comment because you're saying something that I think is concerning to all of the staff from RT on this call and in this meeting. So we are definitely looking into what we will be doing for self-evaluation and transition plan. So we are not ignoring anything that may be a requirement. And I'm going to say nay, because there's a lot of uncertainty at the federal level. And I must just put that out there. I'm sorry.
So now I will finish, if I may.
Point of order.
No, well, yes, hold on, a point of order you can do.
Yes.
Don't we have a motion on the floor that's been seconded? Should we not vote on it and get on things?
Well, people do have the right to speak, but Margie, can you wrap up your point?
Yes, I will wrap up. I will wrap up my point. As I said, I've done my due diligence. Now, what I said, even if RT came up with a work plan today, even if they did, they're still in violation because they did not do it by 1993. And what is the likelihood of RT looking really good if someone were to file a complaint and even though they didn't do it by then, there is a work plan? I don't know. I don't know how it would be rolled, but I think it's incumbent upon us as an advisory body to not consider to recommend it. Thank you. I'm done.
All right. Any other members who have not yet had the floor or want to speak on this issue? All right. Are we prepared to vote? Sounds like it. Members
Can
of
we
the
do a roll
public.
call?
Well, no, members of the public. Because
Oh, sorry.
okay, hearing none. Yes, let's vote. We usually do not take a roll call vote unless it is seen as too close to call. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 All those opposed?
No.
Yes.
You better make clear, Pam, how you're voting. You didn't
And
know.
all those opposed, so I said yes.
I figured that, but
Yes.
so is that 3-3?
Not everybody that's on the phone on the
Not-
committee has voted.
Even in person, not everyone has voted. Frank hasn't voted.
Yeah, maybe we do need to take a roll call
Oh, you did
because,
say yes? Okay, sorry.
because I'm not gonna vote unless it's a tie, and I can't tell whether it is a tie. So let us start the vote over. Do you have a list that you can call
Yeah.
in?
All right. All the list.
Yeah.
Give me your
Let's get me. I'll come in with you.
You'll come in.
Yeah.
Frank?
Yes.
Pam?
No.
Margie?
Yes.
Charles?
No.
Helen?
No.
Jean?
Yes.
Mariano? Mariano? Is on? Have I missed anybody on virtual that? Have I missed anyone? I don't think so.
German votes yes.
Oh, German, thank you. Yes.
So, no, I will not. It's 4-3, I believe. Ooh, okay.
4 yeses.
So I will, the vote, the motion is passed.
Okay, then I move. Okay, the number 6 item, goal number 6, that we delete the word consider before recommend.
I will second that.
All right, any comments?
My comments are the same as above.
So are mine.
Anyone else?
Jean?
Dean, go ahead.
This is a reasonable modification for making one method of making architectural design drawings accessible to people, particularly who are totally blind, that have a difficulty either dealing with concepts that are 3-dimensional and that are only available in a 2-dimensional format, which could be dotted lines that and that can be confusing unless you're very experienced in reading blueprints with just a series of dotted lines. The other thing is, without certified audio describers who can write up narrative descriptions, it does not necessarily mean that everything can be clearly conveyed to the degree that a totally blind person can follow. We all have, like with people with full vision, some people are tactile learners, some are visual learners, some are auditory, or a combination of all 3 senses. That is the same thing even when you're totally blind. Some methods are more effective than others. This is a reasonable modification in providing that information. We have had, at least 2 decades ago, David Solomon who provided us overviews on the designs, would give us an in-depth verbal description, but he also had very detailed, 3-dimensional layouts of the stations that also were not only used for Mac, but it was for the general public. Those who visually, but also they stood up to the touch of totally blind individuals. We're not asking, this resolution is not asking for that. It's asking for something that is less detailed, it's less expensive, and it's something that a piece of technology, if it does not currently exist at RT, or if it did, if it doesn't, it's going to it can benefit your engineers, other departments. It doesn't have to be strictly for Mac solely. That's not the intent. It was for the district, but to be used by people who need the tactile maps or descriptions. So, and these, you can get these as cheap as $200, and you can go up to $1,000. No one is putting a price tag on. That's all we're asking to be looked at, is providing it there and giving staff, if they do not have the training, that training. And it's not asking our ADA coordinator or her support staff to be the ones that have to take this on. It's just asking for, we provide this reasonable modification under the ADA, and going to require every time this doesn't pass, they're going to require every time that we have an architectural design review on a drawing for an A&I committee meeting or a MAC meeting, then I will make a formal, reasonable modification, accommodation for this. And this would spare everyone's time, because that request then would have to be addressed. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. I'll make my comments brief. I agree with every word Gene said. But if we make our recommendations in the work plan, we wouldn't have to have meetings. Okay, anyone else want to comment on, discuss this particular issue?
Concur with Jeff's opinion that we need to-
Speak up, please.
I concur with Jeff's opinion that we need to have the ability to meet as the MAP board to make a recommendation and not make the recommendation in the work plan.
Anyone else? Okay, we will vote, and I think we're gonna do it the same way, because if the vote is close, we need to know whether to vote or not. So, Priscilla, you can read the names again. We'll do it the same way we did before. All those in favor of Gene's motion for recommending the printer he provided, vote yes.
Okay, Frank,
Yes.
Pam,
No,
Margie,
Yes.
Charles,
No.
Helen,
no,
Jean,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Okay, the same vote, 4-3. The vote has passed.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So now we're on to goal 4.
okay, part 4.
Part 4, sorry, I keep thinking.
Public awareness, outreach, and recruitment. The 2023 accomplishments. MAC received updates and provided feedback on A, Sacramento rebranding survey, B, Sacramento hiring and recruitment, C, Sacramento's safety strategy using the Sacramento Alerts app, D, Sacramento TSA Gold Standard Award, E is the results of the Sacramento Go Open House, houses, F, Sacramento Web Support and Administrative Services Procurement, G, SACRT and Sacramento County Emergency Response Planning efforts. And H is Weave and Society for the Blind's proposed training program. Number 2, under 2023 accomplishments, is approved and amended the restated version of the MAC bylaw. The 2024 goals for Part 4 are as follows. 1, advise staff on a public education campaign to educate and train seniors and people with disabilities on the accessibility features found in the new low-floor light rail vehicles and at the modified low-floor light rail platform. 2, provide a communication link between SACRT and SACRT Go eligible riders to inform about SACRT Go open houses. 3, reactivate bylaws ad hoc committee. 4, form an ad hoc task force to redefine the format for the 2025 and future work plan.
Okay. Discussion by anyone on goal or on Part 4?
Okay, this is Charles.
Oh, hold on. Pam was first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not sure she was actually, to be quite honest.
But Pam, go right ahead, please.
Ladies first.
This Part 4 includes recruitment, so could we have under both accomplishments and goals? In accomplishments that we did have new members, and perhaps we could state whether they're at large or representing an agency and what that would be, and the goal to continue to increase our membership to reflect the population of
I like that.
I would also request maybe the brief sentence and goals to within Part 4 to explore ways of enhancing leadership succession planning or something like that. So I think we really need to do that for MAC itself.
I would go along with that wholeheartedly.
I got both of those. Okay.
Any opposition to either of the comments that either Pam or I have made? And then if not, we'll go to you, Charles, but any comments that would oppose those items? Okay, Charles.
Yes, I don't know if this is perhaps included in item 2, but I think it would be good for the MAC to be able to present at one of the open houses that we have, to explain the MAC and just sort of get a little more public view of the MAC, and it might be included in number 2.
Thank you, Charles. I actually meant to bring that up.
Excellent.
I'm glad you did.
Margie?
Okay.
I just want to point out, I didn't catch it, but somebody posted a question in the chat, and I don't know if it's relevant to this.
Austin, do you see the comment in the chat? And who's it from? I can't hear you.
It's from Joseph Wilson. Joseph asked, has there been talks about allowing members of the public to test the new light rail trains?
Oh,
Yeah, that's an issue that we've certainly have talked about and have discussed and have sent out information about. So it's certainly within our work plan, absolutely.
But right now, testing is underway that members of the public would not be involved in after hours. Anybody else wants to comment on that? Staff? Okay.
comment on the Jeff's Charles. about the increasing visibility of the NAC. For example, we have said for many years that we would have identity badges for members of the NAC, so that when we go to meetings and so forth, it just increases the visibility. Perhaps instead of specifically talking about the open house, we could make a generalized statement that we would increase public visibility and awareness of the NAC and its purpose. Have specifics that we develop later.
Charles, does that work for you? That concept that Pam is.
Yes, it does.
Mhm.
And just to reemphasize that the 2024 goal number 2 under part 4 is to provide a communication link between Sacramento and Sacramento eligible riders to inform about Sacramento open houses, and that's what you're referring to, correct, Carl?
Yes.
Okay. It's really specific to Sacramento riders, the open house.
Okay, I'm having trouble hearing. I think I got all that you said.
Yeah, and Pam's point is that we need to enhance our visibility generally as the conduit to the community. I think that's not just limited to open house and RTGO and all that.
Right. Okay, good. Thanks for that summary, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Jeff, did she also say something about name badges, or am I making that up?
That was part of Pam's
Thank you.
comment. Anyone else on goal 4? Very good constructive suggestion. Any comments on goal 4 from the public? Okay, Jeff?
Yes, number one comment is going to be about the factor of with the light rail modification for wheelchairs. It is not designated because everything is now yellow, is when you have curb or no curb versus the additional 8 inches. You look going across, you know, it's not very difficult. And to have, I wonder for people that are blind, how they know whether it's a flat or a 4-inch curve, or it's the larger curve that they have to climb up. I just bring it as a attention to you that maybe the back should look at that as an issue to resolve this year.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, I think, Jean, just to summarize for you, in goal 3, for example, the only thing we really did other than tighten up the language for a successful format proposal was to delete the accomplishment about the U-serve signage completely because it's covered in part 2. We really didn't make much of a change. I don't know. I mean, talk through it with Priscilla if you want to. I don't know.
We did.
I know that if you want to continue discussing that with her in terms of tightening up.
No, Jeff, I don't think you're recalling. And to Pam's credit, during the presentation that Matt got, he provided extensive recommendations to make the graphics more visible. That is a physical thing. That's the reason it was kept in that section of part 3, because that dealt with the graphics, making them more useful for people with full vision or low vision. So that was an accomplishment.
Well, we can move it into part 2, but we don't need it in both places, is the point. I don't have a problem with moving it.
4:05 p.m.
It was just a duplication thing. Well, it wasn't.
I agree. And that's the reason I retained it, because it was dealing with graphics. It wasn't talking the general thing about the decal. It was specifically under part 3 to deal with the graphics only. That's it.
Well,
It's not the thing, okay, if it's your desire not to have it there, then take it out. It's not something I'm going to fight to the bitter end, no.
And going rest of the changes that you're proposing, talk to Priscilla about them. I'm not wedded. If it's, we didn't make that many changes. We sort of agreed today that the limited amount of changes are necessary. So unless you really feel we need to do, whatever you think you need, you want to, let's talk to Priscilla about it. Go from there, because we're not going to be able to do anything further today.
I'd be happy.
That was the only reason.
I'll be happy to talk to Priscilla offline. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So we have one item left, and that is an update. And I know I'm going to destroy your name, sir. Oh, Richard's going to do it. Oh, that's right. We have two items because we reversed these two. So we have our SAC RT24 update from Richard Mitchell. Go for it.
Good afternoon, Chair Tom and MAC members. Today, I am giving you a quarterly update on the SAC RT Go paratransit services. So at first, we're going to start with our ridership for the past quarter, starting with October. And the ridership on just SAC RT Go, not including our supplemental service user. So for SAC RT Go, October was 22,459. User ridership for October was 7,786, with October being a total of 30,245. So just to kind of give you that in a little perspective, that's like our highest ridership that we've had since we before the COVID pandemic issue, and it puts us at we're kind of almost to 90% of pre-COVID ridership for that month. So now for November, the SAC RT Go ridership was 20,991. The user ridership was 7,032, with a total ridership of 28,023. So even though there was a little bit of a drop in November, and some of that's because of the holiday and other days, like number of weekdays and weekends, that put us to 93.9% of pre-COVID ridership. So we're almost at 94% during that month. So definitely we're seeing a steady increase in our demand for our services. So for the last month on the ridership, December, last month of the quarter in the year, December was 20,182 for SAC RT Go, and the user ridership was 7,033, with a total of 27,215. So currently, our year-to-date total for SAC RT Go ridership is 127,791, and the user ridership is 41,124, with a combined total year-to-date of 168,915. So now I will transition into our on-time performance, and again separating out Go and user separately. October, the SAC RT Go on-time performance was 71%. The user on-time performance was 99%, with a combined total of the service of 78%. For November, the SAC RT Go on-time performance was 72%. The user was 99%, with a combined total of 79% on time for the entire system. In December, we were at 76% on time per SACRT Go. The user on time was 99% again, and the combined on time percentage performance was 82%. And just to kind of give you an update of where we're trending right now, if we took from December 1st until yesterday, January 17th, we would look at just the SACRT Go on-time performance. We're right around 89% on time. So considerable difference. That's just the SACRT Go, not the user. So, so considerable improvement on what we were trending over the past quarter. And with user, I think we go to 92 to 93% for that time period. And then the other things is that just remember we're not able to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges on the fact on the on-time performance user can send back trips and send them back even 2 hours before they take the trip, where at SACRT Go we do not deny any trips at all. So we take every trips and then we have to reschedule the ones that are sent back to us. The other thing I want to point out is that we have the hiring event in the last quarter, which was scheduled for December, was rescheduled for January. We had the first one in January on the 11th of January. And based upon when I was at the hiring event and everybody else from the staff that has been at the previous hiring events, it was very, very well attended. And that our next hiring event is actually tomorrow. So we're seeing a huge increase in the number of people from the public that want to come to work for SACRT. And then my last item is to just update that the SACRT board meeting on January 8th, we were able to exercise one of the 1 year contract extensions for you. And that was approved.
We'll have time for a couple questions. I do want to put on the agenda for next meeting user issues. Regina started to talk about some of it. There's more. We're not really going to have time for a dialogue today on that, but if there's time for a couple of questions specifically relating to the report that was given, then feel free. MAC members, any questions of Richard?
Margie.
Pam? Helen, go ahead. And then Margie, yes.
I have a question. If we go below a certain percentage of on-time performance, I was told that we get penalized by the FDA, and I need to know what that percentage would be.
I'm not sure about being penalized, but I know that when they review the on-time performance, it's one of the things that they may make recommendations back for. You know, I would have to get back to you if you want more specifics on that, but I don't know if they have like a threshold of a certain number that if you're below this, then this happens. I have never seen that.
Okay, thank you.
I suspect, and I don't know this for certain, but I think it's maybe Gene or staff can do that. I suspect it's more like what happens in many, many federal programs where they have the authority at some point to withhold federal money. But, you know, most of the time you never see them actually do it. An entity really has to be performing abominably for the feds to actually take that step.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Chair, is they would have to see a consistency, like a consistent poor performance, not just maybe a snapshot of several months, and then the agency not doing anything to make any corrective actions over a time period.
Okay, Margie?
Yes, Jeff, as you know, I need to talk about Zip Pass. That cannot wait another month. And you suggested I bring it up here. May I please speak about it?
Sure. We have, about
I'm gonna do it.
5 or 10 minutes. That's about it.
I'm gonna do it as
Another
quickly as I can.
Sure.
And I'm gonna really work hard, not get too emotional. Zip Pass, I'm making a blanket statement. I got this from someone who does ADA websites and ADA apps and works for a major medical facility as her website and app manager, is not accessible. I am so terrified. I'm sorry. It's working. I've had the drivers try to help me. They see the problems. Staff has had to reimburse me, spend time getting me refunds. Because we get 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 activated. And my fear is I go to doctor's appointments, and for the most, that's all I do these days because of my brain injury.
So I just wanted to.
Got to do something about this. I've been checking around. The one thing I can do for my dad is make a lot of phone calls. Blind people aren't using this app because it's not accessible. I've had many of our drivers try to help me to activate. They've seen the frustration. And we've got to do something, and we've got to do it quickly about this app, because I can tell you one thing, and I hate to have to say this, but the first time I'm denied a ride based on an inaccessible app when I'm trying to pay and the driver can't get it activated, it's not going to be pretty. That's what I'm going to say. And they shouldn't have to be going through this stress just to get to a doctor's appointment. Sorry about the emotions, but this is how scared I am.
Margie, I want to apologize.
Please speak up.
And I will work with Casey and.
We can't hear
hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now, Margie?
Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
sorry about that. My apologies. I am sorry that you've had these experiences, and I appreciate you sharing. I'm sorry that you had to, what you've experienced with using the app. So I'll work with Zachary to go, and also with Casey. I know that we are looking towards being able to offer additional apps or ways to pay. But we hear you loud and clear, and we will be working on that.
And who is that, please?
Oh, this is Jamie, Margie. Jamie.
Thank you. Thank you, Jamie.
You're welcome. And I'll follow up by phone with you too to get some more details. I have the gist of it. And we'll be talking soon. Okay. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
And I would only add to that Margie it's not like Margie is some kind of outlier in the wilderness who's having these experiences. It's seemingly getting worse rather than better. And it's really no reason why this should be happening. I don't know if anybody else has any comment applicable to why these things are happening with the app now. Certainly like to hear something.
This is Jamie again. Overall, I know I want to say we have one other either member from the MAC or member of the public that has had the same experience, but I'm also not hearing it elsewhere. I know that it can happen. It's an odd spot in the app. That's the best way I can explain it. So bear with me on that, but there is a spot within the app where you're either supposed to swipe or scroll. And sometimes that if you hit it wrong, it'll activate several. And so that's what we found to be, because it has happened occasionally, but it doesn't happen every time. And that's what I can provide as far as that, as far as the knowledge, but it's not an overall problem, nothing to say, that doesn't mean it's definitely something we'll look for sure.
Yeah, and this is Richard, Margie. I mean, I received your emails. I escalated it up. I appreciate you communicating back and forth with me on that. And we'll continue to monitor to see what the issue is. Definitely have, my vice president, involved in it and aware of the process so that if anything needs to, be addressed, the team is all aware of what's going on so that we can fix it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right,
Yeah.
any other members that have questions? We have just a good time for one and two more, and then we need to go to our last update. Gene, go ahead.
Not about the report. Thank you for the report, but I just wanted to know, Richard, at this time, do you believe that your schedule is free to come here in February? Because there's three major issues, and I'm not even going to state what they are. Issues that I'm having with, and the public's having with user, and so I'm just hoping that you can be here so we can have all the issues put there. And my three things are things we have discussed in the past, and they're only getting worse. So,
Gene's correct.
Your schedule is will be available for you to come here in February.
Gene, I attend every meeting, whether I have something on the agenda or not, and I will be here in the, for the February meeting. And, maybe if we, appropriately through Priscilla have to add something onto the agenda, and then we can, be present and prepared for it.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't aware that you were here at all meetings. But thank you very much. That's it, Jeff.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, we're gonna have to move on then. And we have our last item, and this is under new business and an update on ASAP grants. I'm gonna butcher your name, and I apologize in advance. Wondinu Mengistu, who is the Director of Grants and Capital Program. So go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, my name is Wondinu Mengistu.
I'm sorry, I can't hear him.
Closer to the mic, please.
Yeah, my name is Wondinu Mengistu, Director of Grants and Capital Programming. Dr. Lee, Chair Tom and Mark members. I've been here for the last 2 months, so happy to be here. And look forward working with you. This is I'm trying to provide you a brief update regarding our grants for post-grant application for Hold and Fire Station. And this is where the only northbound train to one and IATR accessible. So this specific station that's southbound are accessible. So my department, this agency, always strive to maximize our funding opportunities by submitting a highly competitive grant application for programs. This specific station has been deemed eligible for FTA funding. But as soon as FTA published the NOFO, we reached out to FTA actively, and we engaged them to review the status of this specific project or this specific location. And FTA is currently considering eligibility of this specific station. Given FTA's preference is always to fund shovel-ready projects, and we need to really act decisively. The first thing we normally have to do is to have environmental clearance, to have design in place, and upon FTA determination of eligibility for this specific station, we plan to initiate to complete and start the preliminary design and so that we can submit a competitive grant application next year. So as soon as normally NEPA design also working with city for potential road closure will require roughly a year after year. So we believe that we're going to be ready next year as soon as we get from FDA. And the total project cost in roughly is at 5 million. So we are required to provide 20% local match, which is roughly 30%, 20%, which is roughly around 7 million. So as soon as we hear from FTA, we will start on the pre-construction work, which involve environmental as well as preparing the grant application for the next cycle. Yeah, this concludes my list, and I'm happy to answer if you have any questions.
Okay, questions from MAC members?
Jeff,
Yes, Gene?
I couldn't follow the presentation.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask staff if, in the meeting minutes, if the high points of the presentation could be covered. I was wanting to know about this ASAP funding for legacy stations, light rail stations, whether we had applied for it, and that wanted to know when was our input going to be brought into it as people who are the end users to make certain that we're all on the same page, being that the deadline was the end of this month. And it's really critical that before these grants and proposals are, gone out applications, that the MAC and the public are hearing what is being considered so that we can at least provide input. Because we're talking about the accessibility features. I'm not talking about other non-accessible aspects of capital improvement projects. So, but I'm looking forward to hearing, and I believe, and I think Priscilla had said during our executive committee meeting that they weren't going to be able to apply for this funding, and if that is, and if my recall is correct, I would like to see reflected in the minutes as to the reason they were unable to apply, which may have been there wasn't adequate time to respond, nor was there adequate time to receive input from the MAC and the public on these access things, and that's very likely true. But that's another reason why we need to work on new updated guidelines internally as to what are needed for the various type of projects like rail, station construction designs, the access. And I know before Mark Longigan left, and Janice had spoken to him, Labrada, about the guidelines for light rail to see the update, and he told her, forget those guidelines. There's newer technology. You need to start from scratch, and it's timely for you to get input from the MAC and the public so that it's here, staff have it, so that when there's a grant that comes in, that there's hardly no turnaround time to consult. They have these guidelines to follow, and that should be a dialogue between staff and the MAC and its subcommittees. And that was a recommendation from Mark Longigan, and there's been others that have suggested that too over the years. So that's something I hope the A&I committee can work with staff on these various guidelines. Thank you.
You want to respond to Gene's inquiry?
Me?
No, well, you could, but yeah. Do know?
We've spoken quite a bit. I do have some details from one of you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing we need from FTA is we have to be eligible, even though some new application. So what we need is that find out for FT. So yeah, this project is eligible for this.
Cutting out again.
He's cutting out, you can.
Sorry, the first thing we need to get from FTA is a confirmation that we are eligible to apply for this grant program. So as soon as we get that determination, we will start from the environmental design so that we have a shovel-ready project for FTA, because we compete with other transit agencies in the nation, who normally have, ready project for construction. So we want to compete well. So if we want to compete well, as soon as we get that determination, we want to start the environmental design as well to make sure that that this project is ready for construction.
But that wouldn't be this year, that would be, that would be next go around potentially.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. Because still FTA is reviewing our eligibility requirement.
And the location was 12th and I.
Yes, that's correct.
And will you be coming to the MAC in plenty of time to
A&R
incorporate
committee.
any input that we?
Yes,
Would-
definitely. All the.
And Jean, if you have additional clarification questions, which you frequently do, why don't you get them to Priscilla and maybe we can get the answers over email at this point in time and you can present them, or you can invite them to the AI committee, whatever you choose to do. But we can continue this
agree.
dialogue.
No, I agree with you, Jeff. That's it. I agree. I will do that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, that is our last item. Do we have announcements? I think you have an announcement, right?
I do have an announcement. I received an email from Alan Rusak before the meeting today, and unfortunately, Alan indicated that he was he had to resign from the MAC, and he sent a very nice email that I will share with the MAC members via email. It's kind of a long email, so and just in light of the time, it's unfortunate, but he has a lot of work demands, and it's just too much to be able to be on the MAC at this point in time. So wanted to share that information.
Yeah, we'll have to find someone to fill his big shoes. Okay, any other announcements or requests for information? Okay. Anybody on the line with anything?
Nope.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
To adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? If you oppose, you gotta run the meeting. Okay, we're adjourned.
Okay, thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It won't let me out.